A while back, this Ummagawd's frame came out, and it was pretty popular and it was pretty controversial because almost immediately this frame showed up, the Real ACC Real 3 frame. And basically, this was almost identical to it. In fact, it was so popular, Ummagawd actually did a video comparing the two quads, and he said he actually liked the gold that they used on the Real ACC Real 3, so he was going to clone it, and he did, and he made this Rotor Riot remix version. Well, you know, for a frame that cost $100 for the original, paying $70 for the clone, just, you know, it's barely even worth it. You may as well spend the extra money, buy the original one. But then, you know, of course, someone else comes along and they make another frame that looks a lot like it for a lot less money. I do really hate to see frames get cloned real quickly, but in this case, when they're selling it for a third of the price, boy, it's kind of nice for the people who don't have money or don't think that the frames are actually worth paying that much money for. But anyway, so today we're looking at this. This is the HSKRC Freestyle 250 frame, and it's a True X. They say they kind of classify it here as a racing frame kit, but I think it's more of a freestyle kit. We'll take a look at the weight in the end, but I think that's going to kind of set it apart. Anyway, here's what it comes in. Anti-static bag. We'll get this thing taken apart and take a look at it and do some measurements on it. So here are all the pieces laid out. If you were looking at the pictures and thinking, wow, those arms look really nice, well, they're just cut. They are not rounded off at all on the edges, so you're kind of getting what you pay for. Now this one does have the arm actually cut right. Actually, all four of them here are cut right. And the way you know they're cut right is that the long parts, if I can get it on the camera, long parts of the carbon fiber are going down the arm. You kind of want all to go down this way. And what that does, it really puts a lot of strength in it going like this, and you can see there's not hardly any flex in there at all. And that just makes for a lot stronger arm. It should take a lot better hit in crashes and survive. Now if they run the other way, if you see them run up and down or across the arm or sideways, that arm will have a lot of flex to it. Even a 4mm arm that's not cut correctly will have some flex to it. Anyway, it's good that these are actually cut correctly. I just wish they were, you know, rounded off a little better. But it also comes with a whole bunch of other pieces. We'll put this together. And they even gave this little piece on here that's supposed to help hold the wire out of the motors. So we'll get this thing put together. One more thing, it did come with instructions, and so this being kind of a complex build with a lot of different parts to it, this will be useful, and hopefully I'll get this put together pretty quick. So here's the 250 Freestyle fully assembled. This is actually a very heavy duty frame. I'm actually surprised because I didn't think it looked all the heavy duty online, but now that I'm actually holding it in my hand, I can really feel it. There's some cool things about this frame. First of all the flyboard and stuff will go inside here, and they mount up to this upper plate instead of down to the lower plate like you would normally expect. Also, to get to it, there's two screws here. You take these two screws out, loosen these two up here in the front, and the whole bottom plate drops off, and you can get to your pieces inside pretty easily. So with these top screws removed and these two screws up here loosened up a little bit and the camera installed there, this bottom piece opens up to reveal your complete innards in here, which makes it very easy to get inside to work on it. Also, your camera's up here. So you're going to have to make sure, if you're running your camera in this kind of fashion, you need to make sure your wires are long enough to support it reaching out that far. Otherwise, you're just going to be stretching your wires, or, you know, unplug it before you start. Either way, it would work fine. Also up here on the top, it comes with this big foam piece that is kind of nice for your battery. It can sit on there, and then you'll run your battery strap through the middle and have it strapped down. It also has a little piece of foam up here on its top metal piece where you could strap your GoPro on there, I guess, if you wanted to. It also comes with a little antenna holder back here if you want to use the side screws on there, or you just want to mount it straight through the hole, you can there also. On the picture, it had some LEDs back here, but I think if you wanted to do that, you'd have to just pull this out and run some zip ties through the little holes here, and you could hold it on to the side plates there if you wanted to. Up here on the top, there's also this little hook, and this is where you can run your battery cable down through there, so it goes along the side of your quad instead of, you know, being loose to where it might get chopped up by your props. We'll get some quick measurements off this frame. The top plate is 3mm. The middle plate is 2mm. The arms are 4mm thick and about 12mm wide. The front piece of carbon fiber is about 3mm wide. The bottom side pieces are also 3mm. You have about 20mm of space inside the frame to build your ESC and flightboard. The width of the frame in the middle is about 40 millimeters. In between the front two pieces, you have about 28 millimeters of space, which means you're going to be running the full-size run cams in here. But the one big advantage is they're going to be fully protected by the shell. And it says that the camera angle goes up to about 60 degrees. We'll take a look at that. So here's the Freestyle 250 with the camera installed up here. And you can see that with it all the way down, it actually touches this spacer, which is fine. It just keeps it from going down too far, I would imagine. So if you're just learning to fly, you don't have to have too great of an angle. And as soon as you go like this, the horizon will go up in your field of view, and you'll be able to fly. Also, you can take this and it can go up. You know, if you go up all the way, which is right to there, that is some massive steep angle. And you may get a little bit of spacer up there, or the little metal piece up in the vision, I think, maybe, but probably not too bad. And even here, we'll try to get it about 45. There's about what 45 degrees looks like, and even that's going to give you plenty of speed. And also, like I said, I think this frame is more for a freestyle type of frame and less for a racing frame. But if you were going to race with it, it'd probably be okay. You just have a harder time and a little bit of disadvantage against the guys that are running like floss frames or any kind of ultra light frames, just because they're going to have less mass pulling through the air. Out here on the arms, it only has the hole spacing for the 2200 and larger size motors. You're not going to be running like 1806 motors on here. Also, it has this little hole here, which I guess is just for looks, but it sticks out a little bit so that way if you crash, it's going to take a little bit of the impact instead of passing that on into the motor. So you can tell this looks completely different than the Ummagawd arms. It's called the Freestyle 250. It says it comes in at 248, but I'd say it's pretty close to 250. Also, it said it's square. So from left to right, it comes in about 175, and front to back, it comes just a little bit more than 175, maybe about 177, 178. So it's a little bit longer front to back than it is side to side, but you know, close enough to be called a true X, I guess. Maybe a faux X. That would probably be a little better term for this one. So with the frame fully assembled, let's put on the scale. Comes in about 118. That's a little heavy. Most racing frames are going to come in around 100, and most of the ultralights are going to come in around 70. So 115 or 118 on this frame isn't necessarily a real heavy frame. It's just more on the freestyle weight level. One problem I've been having with my quads recently is that I'm flying faster, and I'm also using these thinner arms, like on this Hantu frame, and my Boss frames is doing the same thing. When I crash, the motor or the propeller here will bend down and strike and cut these motor wires. Well, to try to make up for that, I took these wires on here and actually come out here and go out the back, and then they're down underneath the frame and they come up the front, and that way if the propeller does come down, there's nothing there to strike except for the arm itself. Well, I also picked up a set of these little motor, I don't know what they actually call them, I can't even remember. But these come in a 4-pack, and you're supposed to be able to snap them in half. Okay, there we go. So they snap in half, and then these lay on top of your arms like this. Then you can take your wires and they solder to here, and then from here they go on the rest of the way to your flight controller. And so the big advantage of this is that if that propeller comes down and strikes this thing can take a hit, and there's no wires there to actually cut up. And these say they support anywhere from 2S up to 6S, so I don't know. I might try these on the next frame I build. Maybe not, I don't know. Depends on if I think that it needs them. But if the arms are wide enough, then these would actually be a pretty good option. So this is the Freestyle 250 from HSKRC. This is actually a pretty nice frame. I would definitely say it's not as well polished as the Ummagawd frame, you know, with the rough corners to the the hardware it's probably using the carbon fiber. But I think it's a pretty good alternative for $30, which is a third of the price of the original frame. Now, like I always say, if you want to support the frame owner, I mean, if you're going to buy this frame, I always recommend you buy the original first and then look at the clone second. So anyway, the Freestyle 250 frame, if you have any questions about this, you can leave them down in the comments. I will try to help you out as best I can. And as always, thanks for watching.